When sons fail, daughters rise. In the lively town of Nui, Anambra State, lived a young man named Obinna S. He was the second son in a family of 5 boys, a family known for its wealth and pride. Obinna was smart, confident, and known around town for his good looks and smooth tongue. Like many young men from wealthy homes, he carried himself with the kind of arrogance that only privilege could afford. It was during his final year at the University of Nigeria, Nsukka, that he met Chiamaka Okoro, a bright and beautiful girl from Umuahia, Abia State. She was studying education, driven by her dream to open a school in her village someday. Unlike Obinna, Chiamaka came from a modest background. Her parents were retired teachers who raised her with firm discipline and strong Christian values. Their paths crossed at a departmental seminar. She was the one asking intelligent questions while Obinna noticed her from the back of the hall. He liked her mind first, and then her face. What began with casual conversations turned into long walks, shared assignments, and late-night calls. They weren't planning marriage, at least not so soon, but life had its plans. A few months after graduation, Chiamaka found out she was pregnant. When she told Obinna, his expression went from confused to worried. "We're not ready for this," he muttered. "My mother, she never accept you." "Why?" Chiamaka asked, already sensing the rejection in his voice. "She doesn't want me marrying outside Anambra," he said. "She has someone else in mind." Despite the protests from Mama Ez, Obinna's mother, they went ahead with a small traditional marriage in Umuahia. It was not out of love or support, it was out of shame. The pregnancy forced their hands. Mama Ez refused to attend, telling anyone who cared to listen that her son had been trapped by a desperate girl from a foreign land. The marriage was rocky from the beginning. Chiamaka gave birth to a beautiful baby girl, Adaura, and Obinna barely smiled. He had expected a son, a child to carry his name and impress his people. Only girls? He scoffed as years went by and two more daughters followed. Ifeoma and Ngozi. His affection for Chiamaka grew colder with each birth. The love that once held them together turned to resentment. Obinna's mother constantly reminded him, "Mwoke anaguibi nda yanam non yunanu." A man needs a son. Eventually, Mama S convinced her son that Chiamaka was the problem, that she had a female spirit, and her womb could not produce a male child. It didn't take long before Obinna began an affair with a younger woman from their village in Much. She was everything his mother wanted: submissive, light-skinned, and 100% Anambra-blooded. When Chiamaka found out, she begged him to stay for the children, to fight for their family. But Obinna, poisoned by pride and influence, walked away. He left Chiamaka and their daughters behind, barely contributing to their upkeep. He married a Much in a loud, expensive ceremony that Mama as proudly hosted. Alone and broken-hearted, Chiamaka wiped her tears and focused on her daughters. She took a teaching job, sold second-hand clothes in the evenings, and even learned to bake on weekends. She poured love, discipline, and strength into her girls. They saw her struggles and vowed to make her proud. And they did. Adaura won a scholarship to study medicine in Canada. Ifeoma became a lawyer, opening her own firm in Lagos. Ngozi, the youngest, built a tech startup that attracted international investors. While Chiamaka's home blossomed with success and peace, Obinna's world was falling apart. Amuch gave birth to 2 boys, Chidera and Ebuban. For a while, Obinna felt victorious. He called them his real legacy, parading them at every family event. But the boys grew wild and uncontrollable. They were raised with indulgence, not discipline. By 18, Chidera was smoking, drinking, and arrested multiple times. Ebub dropped out of school and was known more for cult activities than academics. Obinna began to regret. The girls he abandoned were building empires, while the boys he worshipped were burning his name. The final blow came like thunder on a clear day. Chidera had been involved in a hit-and-run accident. The police needed a blood sample for treatment, and something didn't add up. A DNA test revealed Obinna was not his biological father. He laughed nervously at first, thinking it was a mistake. But the truth hardened quickly when a second test confirmed Ebub wasn't his either. He confronted Amuch, his voice trembling with rage. "You made me leave my wife and daughters for this. These boys, they're not even mine." Amuch stood there, unapologetic. "You left your family for sons. I gave you what you wanted. It was never about love, it was about power. Your mother wanted control, and you gave it to her." Obinna collapsed into silence. Mama Ez, too, was disgraced. Her chosen daughter-in-law had shamed her, and the pride of her lineage was nothing but a lie. The community that once praised her whispered behind her back. Years passed. Obinna, now a shadow of himself, sat outside his crumbling compound. He had sold his properties to cover debts. His sons had disappeared, one on the run, the other in prison. Amuch had left him too. One Saturday morning, 3 SUVs pulled into the compound. Kiyomaka stepped out, still graceful, with silver streaks in her hair and her head tied in a regal gel. Behind her were her daughters, successful, radiant, and surrounded by their own families. They had come for a family member's burial in the village, and decided to check on the man they once called father. Obina looked up at them, his eyes misty with regret. "I failed you," he said, his voice barely above a whisper. Kiyomaka looked at him quietly, then said, "You sowed with pride, Obina, but I watered with love." She turned and walked away, surrounded by the very girls he once called worthless. Obina remained seated, watching them fade into the distance, his heart heavy with the knowledge that the true legacy he sought was never in sons but in the love he threw away.